I do think anniversaries they have a benefit. And here's the benefit now when we talk about things that have happened. I often remind people about horrible things, political things the communists have done in this country. I remind people about things that have happened, not because people were stupid, because there's so much news out there now. It's an endless avalanche of news in your phone and your TV and everything. And there's so much disaster. There's so many scandals. One tyrannical thing on top of another tyrannical thing, that you're thinking about this one, and really you forgot about the one 5 days ago that was even worse than that. I mean, for instance, right now, before I get to this anniversary, we do remember, like 15 minutes ago, the Attorney General of the United States of America looked at concerned parents who didn't want critical race theory and COVID madness in their schools, and he sicked the FBI on them publicly. The federal government just used the Federal Bureau of Investigation to intimidate concerned parents. That is Soviet-style stuff. That's nuts. And it's happening right now. So I thought we should celebrate another anniversary. New York Post, a year ago today, they ran a story. What was that story? Well, somebody, somehow, some way, got their hands on Hunter Biden's laptop. Apparently, he has dozens of these things where he inexplicably records every crime he's ever committed. On this laptop, there was so much. And I'm not going to actually get into the personal stuff and all the ugly stuff. I'm not getting into that. Let's just talk about the emails and the business ties. And it all looked really, really bad. It looked like, in fact, we now know, since it's all been authenticated, it looked like Hunter Biden is extremely corrupt and has used his father as an aid in that corruption. And it also looked like his father was getting paid for it. It looked like this family is a political crime family that has used Joe Biden's influence to enrich itself. It looked awful. And the New York Post runs this bombshell story. And remember, that's last October, right? So the election was in November. It's a big deal. Okay, Joe Biden's the Democrat nominee at the time. He's potentially the commander-in-chief and possibly compromised by China. Certainly in a compromising position when it comes to his son and all the disaster there. Could you even remember a presidential scandal that big leading up to an election? A real one, not something fake. A real one with documentation, emails and everything. It's a big deal, right? That should be a Pulitzer Prize. Should be a Pulitzer Prize. Except the system decided it didn't want you to see that information. So outlets like Twitter and Facebook banned the sharing of it. Here's the media covering it up.
Does it surprise you at all that this information Rudy Giuliani is peddling very well could be connected to some sort of Russian government disinformation campaign?
U.S. authorities are seeing if those emails we just talked about are connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
And unverified emails about his business dealings, a story that many intelligence experts say has all the hallmarks of a foreign interference campaign for him.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Hunter Biden's laptop, that whole thing has been fizzling. It looks like it's tied to Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
Investigators are looking into whether emails that purport to show business dealings of Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, are connected to a Russian disinformation campaign.
Didn't that creep you out just now? I even knew the video we were going to play you, and now I'm beyond creeped out. That's how broken and corrupt and disgusting the American media is in this country. Immediately, they locked shields in protection of their God. Oh, no, Russian disinformation. But look, I shouldn't actually be too hard on them. The media did actually look into it, and they authenticated everything that was on the laptop, which is pretty cool, right? That's awesome journalism. Except they did that 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, September. long after Joe Biden has taken the reins, long after he's been seated in the Oval Office, long after Joe Biden has torn through this country like a hot knife through butter, the media has taken the time to authenticate every single thing in this original New York Post article. And no, I'm not going to let it go. That cover-up by the American media and big tech potentially changed this country for the worse forever. And remember this from the Media Research Center. They did a poll. 36% of Biden voters were not even aware of the Hunter Biden story. 4.6% of all Joe Biden voters would have changed their vote if they had known. That means Donald Trump would have won the election with 289 electoral votes. Instead, we have a half-functional communist as President of the United States of America who's destroying and embarrassing this country. I'm not going to let that go. I choose to remember. I choose to remember the people who are supposedly bringing you the news and saving democracy. I remember what you did, every single one of you. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.